The battered station wagon coughed its last as Dad wrestled it into a parking spot, a precious few feet from the curb. Northwood University loomed, a Gothic monstrosity of gray stone and pointed arches, swallowing Maya whole. It felt less like a place of learning and more like a fortress designed to keep her out. Mom was already weeping, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue pulled from the overflowing box on her lap. "Oh, Mija, I don't know how I'm going to manage without you." Maya squeezed her hand, the familiar scent of her mother's rosewater lotion a small comfort in the face of the overwhelming chaos. Students swarmed like angry bees, hauling trunks and boxes, their laughter echoing off the stone walls. Even the air felt different, thick with the scent of exhaust fumes and something vaguely floral, like potpourri trying to mask a gym sock. "I'll call every day," Maya promised, her voice barely a whisper. She clutched Patches tighter, the worn for a tangible reminder of home. Dad, ever the pragmatist, popped the trunk. "All right, let's get you unloaded. Room 212, right?" He consulted a crumpled piece of paper, his brow furrowed. The goodbye was agonizing. Hugs that lingered too long, promises to visit soon, and a final, tearful wave as Maya shouldered her backpack and wrestled her overstuffed duffel bag out of the trunk. Patches, perched precariously on top, seemed to be surveying the scene with an equal measure of apprehension. Navigating the throng was a nightmare. Maya stumbled, nearly tripping over a precocious golden retriever puppy wearing a Northwood bandana. A group of upperclassmen, clad in matching sorority sweatshirts, shrieked with laughter as she fumbled, sending a cascade of toiletries tumbling from her overstuffed tote bag. She scrambled to gather them, her cheeks burning. The laughter only intensified. Finally, she made it inside the hallowed halls, the noise level only marginally improved. The air inside was stale and smelled faintly of floor wax and old textbooks. Finding room 212 felt like a Herculean task. Each corridor looked identical, a labyrinth of identical doors stretching into infinity. As she rounded a corner, a group of girls blocked her path. They were impossibly polished, their hair perfectly coiffed, their clothes expensive and effortlessly chic. The ringleader, a blonde with eyes as cold as glacial ice and a smile that didn't reach them, surveyed Maya from head to toe. This had to be Tiffany Sterling. Maya knew that name from her acceptance package and had researched her as one of the most popular, wealthiest, and influential people on campus. Well, what have we here?" Tiffany drawled, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Looks like someone brought their teddy bear to college." Her friends erupted in giggles. Maya shrunk under their scrutiny. "Isn't that precious?" Tiffany continued, her gaze fixed on Patches. "Maybe she needs a blankie and a bottle, too." Maya's grip tightened on Patches. She tried to ignore them, to push past, but Tiffany deliberately stepped in her way. "New girl, huh? Let me give you some advice," Tiffany said, leaning closer, her voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "This isn't kindergarten. Leave the stuffed animals at home. You'll thank me later." She stepped aside, allowing Maya to pass, but not before delivering one final, cutting remark. "And maybe invest in a decent wardrobe. That duffel bag looks like it came from a rummage sale." Maya hurried down the hall, the laughter echoing behind her. Room 212 felt miles away. The fortress of Northwood had successfully breached her defenses. She was alone, vulnerable, and utterly terrified. The dorm room discovery. The beige corridors of Crestwood Hall swam before Maya's eyes, each indistinguishable portal a cruel reminder of her increasingly desperate quest. Third floor, 312. How could it be this difficult? Clutching Barnaby tighter, the threadbare teddy a small comfort, she scanned the numerals, that familiar anxiety tightening its grip. College was touted as a rebirth, a chance to reinvent. Instead, it resembled a tormenting maze designed to spotlight every insecurity. In her mind's eye, she envisioned bustling gatherings in the dining hall, late-night brainstorming with newfound comrades, perhaps even stargazing with the astronomy enthusiasts. These vivid tableaus, bursting with effortless connection, contrasted sharply with the lonely reality of her present plight. Maybe she'd even stumble upon someone who appreciated her passion for esoteric sci-fi and wouldn't just scoff. A gleam of metal snagged her attention. 310, almost there. She edged past it, eyes darting to the opposite wall. Nothing. Retracing her steps, a shadowed recess, nearly obscured by a bulky pillar, revealed itself. There it was. 312, a wave of relief washed over her, so intense it made her unsteady. But as her fingers brushed the knob, a shrill, piercing cackle sliced through the air. Tiffany Sterling. Maya recognized that sound instantly, a viper's hiss of scorn that made her stomach plummet and palms slick with sweat. It bounced off the cold walls, amplifying, distorting, until Tiffany's presence felt immediate, menacing. Maya froze, hand hovering. She couldn't face her, couldn't bear another dose of Tiffany's venom. Inhaling deeply, she focused on the comforting texture of Barnaby's worn fur. Her mantra echoed in her head. Strength, competence, belonging. A fabrication, perhaps, but one she desperately embraced. The laughter subsided into a low murmur of voices from nearby. Dangerously close. She couldn't remain, paralyzed. Summoning a surge of resolve, she jammed the key into the lock, her hand trembling as she twisted. The tumblers clicked, the door swinging inward, and she slipped inside, pulling it shut behind her. The click reverberated in the sudden quiet, a small act of defiance against the lingering sting of Tiffany's laughter. Enter Alex. The lock clicked open, the sound echoing through the still corridor. Maya's fingers, slick with nervous sweat, nearly fumbled the key. A fortifying breath later, she nudged the door inward, her eyes sweeping the modest, plainly appointed space. One bed was a picture of order, a lone backpack its only adornment. The other lay starkly unmade, awaiting its occupant. "Hey! Must be Maya!" The voice, unexpectedly vibrant, startled her. Pushing away from the window seat, where she'd been immersed in a sketchbook, a girl unfolded herself. Taller by a head, she sported a haphazard topknot of raven hair and eyes that crinkled with easy amusement. Her attire, a worn band tee and distressed jeans, screamed nonchalant coolness, a quality Maya deeply envied. "I'm Alex," she announced, offering a hand. Her handshake was firm, assured. Clutching Barnaby for dear life, Maya squeaked, "Hi. Yes, I'm Maya." The bear's plush nose emerged from behind her arm. Alex's brows arched slightly. "A teddy. Name?" A blush crept up Maya's neck. "Barnaby," she confessed, almost inaudibly. Alex didn't mock. "Cool. Settling in?" Maya nodded, indicating the bulging suitcase she dragged inside. It seemed comically oversized and awkward next to Alex's spare pack. The next hour passed in a companionable quiet, broken only by the soft swish of fabrics and the thunk of hard covers. Maya meticulously curated her limited wardrobe, arranging items by shade and suspending each with unwavering precision. Alex, conversely, appeared to launch her few possessions into drawers with joyful abandon. "So," Alex drawled, leaning against her dresser, "Major?" "Biology," Maya answered, meticulously folding a stack of socks. "Heavy. I'm in art history. Needed something chill to offset krav maga." Maya stilled, her hands frozen mid-fold. "Krav maga!" A grin bloomed on Alex's face. "Yeah, self-defense. Killer stress reliever." She threw a few practiced jabs, her movements surprisingly lithe and forceful. Maya recoiled instinctively, Barnaby digging into her ribs. "Oh," she uttered faintly. Self-defense belonged to a different universe entirely. Her own revolved around textbooks, lab protocols, and the art of avoiding social contact. "You should give it a shot sometime," Alex proposed, noticing Maya's unease. "It's empowering. Plus, you never know what kind of characters you'll find roaming campus." She punctuated the statement with a wink. Maya mustered a wan smile. The mere concept of fighting, even defensively, filled her with dread. She vastly preferred the sanctuary of her books, the predictable realm of science. This year promised to be more challenging than anticipated. This roommate was going to be more challenging than anticipated. So, Alex began anew, attached back home, or open to sampling the local delicacies. Maya's eyes widened, tripping over her words. "Oh, no, boyfriend. I haven't really." Her voice trailed off, incapable of expressing the totality of her romantic inexperience. Alex's laughter, a resonant, infectious sound, reverberated through the room. Don't sweat it, Rumi. We'll fix that. She thumped Maya on the back, a gesture forceful enough to nearly unbalance her. This is going to be a blast. Hallway harassment. Maya walked down the hallway, a tentative smile playing on her lips. Alex's words replayed in her mind, a soothing balm to her usual anxiety. You've got this, Maya. Don't let anyone dim your light. She clutched the strap of her backpack a little tighter, Patches, her small, worn teddy bear, peeking out from the side pocket. The hallway, usually a gauntlet of echoing laughter and judging eyes, seemed slightly less menacing today. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to look up. That's when she saw them. Tiffany Sterling, flanked by two girls Maya vaguely recognized from her English lit class, stood blocking the hallway, effectively creating a human barricade. Maya's stomach plummeted. All the newfound confidence evaporated, leaving behind the familiar knot of dread. Tiffany's eyes narrowed as Maya approached. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Her voice dripped with saccharine sweetness, a stark contrast to the venom in her gaze. Maya hesitated, her feet suddenly leaden. Excuse me, she mumbled, trying to sidestep them. Going somewhere, Rodriguez. Tiffany's friend, a tall, lanky girl with a condescending smirk, mirrored Tiffany's movements, cutting off her escape. Just to class, Maya stammered, her voice barely a whisper. Tiffany let out a theatrical laugh. That outfit? Seriously? Did you raid your grandma's closet? She gestured dismissively at Maya's simple cardigan and corduroy pants. Her friends tittered in agreement. Maya flushed crimson, heat creeping up her neck. She hated being the center of attention, especially when it was negative. And what's with the backpack? Tiffany reached out, her manicured nails inches from Maya's worn canvas bag. Bet you're carrying around your blankie, aren't you? Before Maya could react, Tiffany's friend lunged forward, grabbing the backpack strap. Maya yelped, instinctively pulling back. A brief tug-of-war ensued, the cheap canvas groaning under the strain. Suddenly, Patches, dislodged from his pocket, tumbled to the floor. He landed with a soft thump, his button eyes staring up at the fluorescent lights. A collective gasp rippled through the trio. Tiffany stared down at the bear, her face twisting into a mask of disgust. Oh, my God. You actually carry a teddy bear? To college. She picked Patches up by one ear, dangling him mockingly. How pathetic can you get? Tears pricked at Maya's eyes. Patches wasn't just a toy. He was a silent confidant, a source of comfort in a world that often felt overwhelming. Seeing him dangling like that, defiled by Tiffany's touch, was almost unbearable. Give him back, Maya managed to choke out, her voice trembling. Tiffany grinned, a predatory glint in her eyes. Or what, Rodriguez? What are you going to do? A line in the sand. The high-pitched taunting sliced through the lunchtime chatter like a shard of glass. Alex, halfway through dissecting a particularly depressing cafeteria salad, frowned. The sound was coming from near the vending machines, and it sounded distressingly like Tiffany Sterling. Alex knew that voice, knew its saccharine cruelty, its practiced precision in targeting vulnerabilities. Abandoning her salad, Alex weaved through the crowded tables. The knot in her stomach tightened with each step. She found them huddled near the humming machines. Maya, clutching Barnaby Bear so tightly his button eyes looked ready to pop, and Tiffany, flanked by her usual gaggle of sycophants. Seriously, Maya, Tiffany drawled, picking a non-existent piece of lint off her designer jeans. That bear? You're in college now. Shouldn't you be, like, graduating to a boyfriend or something? Or at least a decent handbag? Her friends erupted in giggles, a chorus of vapid amusement. Maya's lower lip trembled. She stared at the scuffed linoleum floor, her cheeks flushed crimson. Alex had had enough. She strode forward, her boots echoing on the hard floor. Tiffany, she said, her voice sharp and devoid of any false pleasantries. Leave her alone. Tiffany's perfectly sculpted eyebrows rose in mock surprise. Well. Look who decided to grace us with her presence. Playing white knight, Chun. Just back off, Tiffany. Alex kept her voice level, fighting the urge to unleash the simmering anger that was bubbling inside. Maya's not bothering anyone. Tiffany scoffed. Oh, but she is. She's an eyesore. a blight on the otherwise pristine landscape of our campus. And that bear? Don't even get me started. She sauntered closer to Alex, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. Maybe you should worry less about playing protector and more about your own questionable fashion choices, Chun. That jacket looks like it was salvaged from a dumpster. Alex ignored the bait. She focused on Maya, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and gratitude. Maya, are you okay? Maya nodded weakly, clutching Barnaby tighter. Tiffany, sensing her power slipping, shoved Alex. It wasn't a hard shove, more of a calculated jab, but it was enough to make Alex stumble back a step. Mind your own business, Tiffany hissed, her eyes narrowed to slits. This doesn't concern you. Alex's jaw tightened. A line in the sand had been drawn, a boundary crossed. The air crackled with unspoken threat. It concerns me now, Alex said, her voice low and dangerous. Because you're harassing someone who can't defend herself. So I'm telling you one last time, Tiffany. Walk away. Tiffany laughed, a shrill, unpleasant sound that grated on Alex's nerves. Or what, Chun? You gonna cry to the dean? I'm shaking in my boots. She took another step closer, her eyes gleaming with malice. You and what army? The sweater snatch. Hold her down. Tiffany screeched, her voice fraying at the edges. Two girls, faces flushed crimson with effort, seized Alex's arms. The blonde, her crimson nail polish flaking, clawed at Alex's bicep. Her companion, wearing a grin that bordered on manic, encircled Alex's waist like a constrictor. Usually a study in controlled power, Alex wrestled against their combined weight. Seriously, Tiffany, what gives? Alex struggled to speak, her gaze fixed on Maya, who remained rooted to the spot. Barnaby clutched so tightly his button eye pressed into her cheek. Let her go. This is beyond low. Tiffany remained deaf to her plea. Her eyes, usually bright with artfully placed shimmer, were now cruel slits. She surged forward, a predator sighting prey. Maya recoiled. The artificial sweetness of Tiffany's perfume, a saccharine vanilla laced with something sharp and chemical, assaulting her senses an instant before Tiffany's nails hooked into the delicate knit of her new sweater. The sound of tearing fabric, a vicious rip of finality, punctuated the sudden silence that blanketed the quad. A jagged wound blossomed on the sweater's front, the yarn laddering down like a dropped lifeline. Maya drew in a sharp breath. It wasn't just any sweater. It was a creation of her grandmother's, lovingly crafted over weeks of patient labor. It was a source of warmth, a tangible embrace from home. Now defiled. Tears stung her eyes, blurring the scene before her. Shame pulsed in her cheeks, hot and humiliating. She felt stripped bare, as vulnerable as a specimen pinned beneath glass. The jeering laughter that erupted from Tiffany and her cronies was a swarm of wasps, buzzing closer, poised to sting. Whoops! Tiffany drawled, her tone oozing insincerity. She dangled a tuft of yarn like a spoil of war. Looks like someone needs a style intervention. A primal roar tore from Alex's throat, startling even her captors. She twisted, fighting against their hold with renewed ferocity. The blonde girl cried out as Alex's elbow slammed into her ribs. The other grunted as Alex's heel ground into her foot with brutal force. With a final surge of adrenaline, Alex tore herself free, sending both girls sprawling. But the damage was irreversible. Maya stared at the mangled sweater, the raw skin exposed through the rent. A sob, choked and ragged, escaped her. She hugged Barnaby tighter, his plush for offering scant solace. The world tilted, a dizzying swirl of taunting faces and ruined wool. She yearned to vanish, to sink into the earth and become invisible. This wasn't the college experience she'd imagined. This was a waking nightmare. Krav Maga unleashed. Tiffany's posse, a trio of girls who looked like they'd been sculpted from porcelain and malice, tightened their grip on Alex's arms. Perfume, thick and cloying like rotting lilies, filled Alex's nostrils. Hold her still, Tiffany hissed, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Maya whimpered, clutching her worn teddy bear tighter. Please, Tiffany, just leave her alone. Tiffany ignored her, her eyes fixed on Alex with predatory glee. Looks like your little bodyguard is about to get a makeover. Maybe we should start with that. Interesting haircut. She reached a manicured hand towards Alex's short, choppy bangs. That was it. Alex shifted her weight, feeling the subtle give of the linoleum beneath her sneakers. The girl on her left had a surprisingly strong grip, but she was leaning too far forward. A mistake. With a sudden, sharp twist, Alex used the girl's own momentum against her, pivoting and stepping inside her guard. A quick, controlled strike to the pressure point on her wrist made her gasp and release Alex's arm. The girl on the right clearly hadn't anticipated this. Her grip was looser, more tentative. Alex used a simple hammer fist strike to her inner forearm, the impact reverberating through her arm and causing her fingers to splay open. Both girls stumbled back, clutching their throbbing limbs, their porcelain composure cracking. Tiffany's smile faltered. What? The third girl, the largest of the three, lunged. This one was going for brute force. Alex sidestepped the clumsy attack, using the momentum to execute a leg sweep. The girl crashed to the floor with a thud that shook the hallway. Her oversized tote bag spilled its contents, a jumble of lip glosses, a crumpled energy bar wrapper, and a textbook on organic chemistry. Alex now stood between Tiffany and Maya, her stance low and balanced. The hallway, which had been a cacophony of taunts and giggles, was now silent. Every eye was on them. The air crackled with a nervous energy. The scent of floor wax and cheap cafeteria food seemed to intensify in the sudden quiet. She met Tiffany's gaze, her expression unreadable. Leave her alone, Tiffany. This isn't a suggestion. Tiffany's face was a mask of fury, but beneath it, Alex saw a flicker of something else. Fear. Good. This isn't over, Tiffany spat, retrieving her fallen minions with a flick of her wrist. They scurried away, whispering and glaring back at Alex with open animosity. Alex watched them go, her senses still on high alert. Only when they disappeared around the corner did she finally turn to Maya, her expression softening. You okay? Confrontation and humiliation. The library air hung thick with the scent of old paper and simmering rage. Alex found Maya huddled in a corner, Mr. Snuggles clutched to her chest like a shield. Tears stained the worn fur around the bear's button eyes. Tiffany Sterling, lipstick the color of a freshly bruised plum, stood over her, flanked by her usual giggling chorus. Look at you, Maya, Tiffany sneered, her voice carrying across the quiet room. Still dragging around that thing? Did you bring it to help you pass finals? Maybe it can write your essays for you. Alex's hands clenched. Enough. She strode towards them, each step deliberate, the echo of her boots silencing the giggles. Tiffany, she said, her voice low but carrying the weight of a promise. Leave her alone. Tiffany's perfectly sculpted eyebrows rose. Well. If it isn't Maya's bodyguard. Going to sick your girlfriend on me, Maya? I'm terrified. Her friends tittered. Alex ignored them. Her gaze remained locked on Tiffany's. The air crackled with unspoken challenge. I'm only going to say this once. Walk away. Tiffany laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. Or what? You'll what? Read me to death with your feminist poetry. Alex didn't reply. She moved with a speed that surprised even herself. One moment she was standing, the next she had closed the distance. Before Tiffany could react, Alex grasped her wrist, applying pressure to a point just below her thumb. Tiffany gasped, her face contorting in pain. Alex smoothly pivoted, using Tiffany's own momentum against her, and brought her down to the floor with a controlled thud. It wasn't a violent takedown, no punches thrown, no dramatic slams. Just precise, focused application of pressure. Tiffany lay on the carpet, stunned, her expensive handbag spilling its contents, a glittery phone case, a half-eaten granola bar, a wad of crumpled bills around her. The giggling chorus had stopped. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Alex released Tiffany's wrist. I'm not going to hurt you, she said, her voice still calm, but with an unmistakable edge. But if I see you bothering Maya again, I promise you'll regret it. Tiffany, struggling to sit up, glared at Alex, her eyes brimming with humiliated tears. Her plum lipstick was smeared across her chin. She looked less like a queen bee and more like a kicked-over wasp's nest. Without a word, she scrambled to gather her belongings, her movements clumsy and uncoordinated. Her friends, equally shaken, helped her to her feet. They slunk away, their earlier bravado replaced by a palpable sense of shame. The library was silent again, except for Maya's quiet sobs. Alex knelt beside her, pulling her into a hug. Mr. Snuggles, slightly squashed, was still firmly in Maya's grip. "Are you okay?" Alex asked softly. Maya nodded, burying her face in Alex's shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice muffled. "Thank you, Alex." Alex held her tight. The smell of old paper and fear still hung in the air, but now there was something else too. A faint scent of justice. A new beginning. I don't know what to say," Maya stammered, clutching Patches tighter. The bear's worn fur offered a small comfort, but it couldn't soothe the tremor that still ran through her. "Thank you. Really, thank you." Alex just shrugged, a ghost of a smile playing on her lips. "Don't mention it. Seriously. Some people just need a reality check. Besides," she added, glancing at Patches, "everyone deserves to feel safe." The walk back to the dorm felt different. Lighter. Maya found herself actually looking at the campus around her, the Gothic arches of the library, the vibrant flower beds bursting with late summer blooms. Before, it had all felt overwhelming, a stage set for her own inevitable humiliation. Now, with Alex beside her, it felt possible. "I'm Maya, by the way. Maya Rodriguez." She blurted it out, suddenly realizing they hadn't properly introduced themselves amid the chaos. "Alex Chin," Alex replied. "And you can stop thanking me. I'm starting to think you don't trust my krav maga skills to handle another round." Maya giggled, a sound so foreign it surprised even her. Okay. No more thanking. But I think I just made my first friend in college." The words felt strange and wonderful on her tongue. Alex's smile widened, crinkling the corners of her eyes. "Takes one to know one, Rodriguez." The next morning, fortified by Alex's presence, Maya found the courage to report the incident. The campus security office felt sterile and intimidating, all harsh fluorescent lights and serious faces. But Alex stood beside her, radiating an aura of quiet strength that Maya found incredibly reassuring. The officer, a woman with tired eyes and a sympathetic demeanor, listened carefully to their account, taking meticulous notes. When she asked Maya if she wanted to press charges, Maya hesitated. The thought of a formal investigation, of reliving the experience again and again, filled her with dread. Alex squeezed her hand gently. "It's your call, Maya, but they can't keep getting away with this." Taking a deep breath, Maya found her voice. "Yes," she said, her voice stronger than she thought possible. "I want to press charges." The investigation process was slow and frustrating, but Alex was a constant source of support. They studied together in the library, grabbed coffee at the campus cafe, even joined a beginner's pottery class, which turned out to be more comical than artistic, resulting in lopsided bowls and clay-covered clothes. With each passing day, Maya felt herself changing, growing bolder, more confident. She still carried Patches, of course, but now, the bear felt less like a shield and more like a talisman, a reminder of how far she had come. College, she realized, wasn't just about lectures and exams. It was about finding your voice, finding your strength, and finding people who would stand beside you no matter what. And maybe, just maybe, it was about a new beginning.